Hey everyone, LongTime here, and today we're going to be going over Chocobos in Final Fantasy VII First Soldier. There are a few aspects we have to cover with that being Chocobo stats, passives, and breeding. Because you could be happy with Chocobos like this, or Chocobos like this, or I can show you how to make Chocobos like this.
You cannot afford.
But you will after this.
Great success.
So let's get into it. Obtaining your first or 100th Chocobo, they're all going to come from the same thing, eggs. Chocobo eggs can either be found in secret boxes after a match, bought with gil from the Mog shop, or obtained from breeding a male and female Chocobo. Their stats and traits will be different depending on if it's a new egg or a bred egg, as well as the amount of time it takes for the egg to hatch. They can hatch from as low as 2 hours to as long as 9. But it isn't guaranteed to get a max Chocobo with higher hatch times, but it does seem to raise your chances of getting a good Chocobo by a considerable amount. We're going to be starting off with the Chocobo stats. In First Soldier, Chocobos have kind of a stat pentagon, with speed, attack, stamina, jump, and HP being the ones we have to work with. Speed will determine how fast your Chocobo runs. Example shown here between two of my Chocobos in the training arena, just running from the materia table to the end of the zone with a nice little yellow finish line there. Attack will increase the damage of your Chocobo's kicks to players and monsters, with it capping out for 300 for monsters and 150 for players. Having higher stamina will increase how many times you can attack, jump, or stay fluttering in the air with your Chocobo before the stamina bar depletes completely. The jump stat will increase the vertical reach of your Chocobo, allowing you to get over walls or mountains, depending on how high the stat is. With finally HP, increasing the life pool of your Chocobo, allowing them to take more damage and not run away quite as fast or having them get KO'd. There are 5 items to upgrade your Chocobo stats, with Curial Root, Pisana Fruit, Tanta Plants, Karaka Roots, and Gilshan Greens. These 5 items are the secrets to maxing your Chocobo from this to this. You just need to order your items correctly, as the booster stats increase 1, but then they lower 2. Take my girl Moomba Mach 8 here as an example. If I wanted to max out 3 stats, I could max out her speed with Curial Root and jump with Gilshan Greens, and then follow up with Karaka Roots to max out her attack, because it doesn't lower jump or speed. I'd be left with her initial HP and stamina values, but then I'd also have 3 maxed out stats. The initial stats of your Chocobos doesn't get lowered by these upgrade items, just the bonuses you get from the items. So you can't instantly max out all 5 stats, so you're going to need to make some sacrifices here and there. Now for my fast one here as an example, I hatched her from a 9-hour egg, and she came out with pretty much capped out speed. So I decided to go for an almost 4-stat capped build. I sacrificed the chance of getting 2 traits on her that we're going to go over in just a minute to guarantee that initial speed stat. I maxed out her attack first with Karaka Root. Then I did her stamina and HP with Pisana Fruit and Tanta Plant, since both of those don't lower the attack bonus I just got from the Karaka Root, and her base speed is pretty much already capped, which can't be lowered by these bonuses. And I had to lead jump where it was so I could achieve that almost 4 max stat at Chocobo. Depending on what your highest stat is, you just need to decide on what you want maxed on your Chocobo and make an item order that doesn't negatively affect the other stats that you're trying to max. And so the ordering is all that matters here. Now onto the Chocobo traits. There are currently 8 Chocobo traits in First Soldier. Going in order, we have Chocobo Cure. This trait recovers 40 HP the moment you call your Chocobo into the battlefields, and that's about it. It's a quick burst of 40 HP. Chocobo Soothe does pretty much the identical thing of Chocobo Cure, but instead it recovers 2 ticks of MP. Chocobo Guard will give you a barrier that occasionally reduces damage while you're riding your Chocobo. Chocobo Resist, even though it says it stops gravity, it really doesn't matter, because while you're mounted on a Chocobo, gravity won't affect you either way. It does, however, do what it says for slow and poison, the slow effect from Blizzard and the poison effect from Bio. Your Chocobo, though, won't be affected by poison either way. It only stops the poison effect on you. Poison just doesn't affect Chocobos. With the Power Nap passive, if your Chocobo has been defeated and runs off, normally that would be it for your Chocobo. But with Power Nap, after 30 seconds, you'll be able to call your best friend back again. This passive doesn't seem to have a limit from the small amount of time I've tested it, so you can just keep calling your Chocobo after it's been defeated then and again, as long as it gets its 30 seconds of beauty sleep. Bird's Eye View will act similarly to the mapping pendant accessory, but instead of finding monsters, vehicles, and chests, it finds supplying containers, benches, and chocobo stops on your minimap. Light Stepper will reduce the radius in which your opponents will hear your chocobo's big clomping feet, which will help you potentially sneak up on your opponents, even just a little bit. And the last of the 8 passives is Giver. With this passive, your chocobo will bring you a little present every time you summon it, similar to Choco Cure and Choco Soothe, but from my testing, it seems to be either a random materia or some ammo. I'm not 100% sure if there are rare items that you can potentially get from it that I just haven't seen, but would love to know if you guys have gotten anything else out of Chocobo Giver. Each chocobo can hold a total of 2 passives maximum, but if you hatch the eggs from either the secret boxes or bought them from the Mog Shop, you'll only get a single random trait. This is where breeding comes into play. The eggs of breeding chocobos will receive its parents' traits. So if your father, say, has Choco Cure and your mother has Choco Soothe, the child would hatch to have both Choco Cure and Choco Soothe. If one of the parents, though, has 2 passives, say that child is now the parent of Soothe and Cure, but now you try and breed with another chocobo that has Chocobo Resist, you aren't guaranteed that the Chocobo Resist will pass over to the new offspring, and you potentially could lose it. So it's best, if you're looking to keep specific passives for your chocobos, that you breed only the exact passives that you want, so you don't lose them in the breeding process. Now, talking about breeding, this is when
Computer sentences them to death by Snoo.
breeding chocobos is a way to create new colors, add additional traits, or improve the stats of a brand new chocobo, though you do lose both parents in the process.
What'd they die of?
Crushed pelvises.
I'll be completely honest. The stat allocation of the breeding system isn't completely known yet, and I don't want to spread misinformation about this topic. So, as the community keeps learning exactly how the stats are transferred, I'll be making a dedicated guide to breeding once I've figured it out. Between the nut system that you get to choose from, like, do you want to use the nut for the stats that you want to keep between the parents, or do you use the nut for the weakest of the 2 stats that you want to see improved on the child? I would say the nut system is by far the biggest unknown in the game so far. And then there's stuff like whether gender plays a role on which color between the 2 parents has a higher chance of passing on or mixing to create a new color, or which one's stats gets transferred to the child better. Like, does the father stats, are they more important, or are the mother stats more important? When I have all this information, I'll make sure to make another guide on this. But for now, again, I don't want to spread misinformation, so that's going to be it for this portion of the breeding. It's the main reason why I kept fast like this, because I didn't exactly... I sacrificed the option of gaining a second trait on him to be able to keep that almost maxed out speed, to be able to have basically a 4 capped stat chocobo, just because I don't know enough about breeding right now. I love the Choco Guard on him, but I just... on her, sorry, but I didn't want to lose the... I didn't want to lose that maxed out speed. So until I know more, this is what the Chocobo is going to be like. Chocobos are an extremely strong option to utilize in for a soldier, and they're getting to be a very, very popular topic on the official Discord. They handle the best out of all the vehicles right now. If you say you like the handling of the Jeep, you're lying to yourself. They're actually quite terrifying to deal with for PvP, as a maxed out attack Chocobo does 150 damage per kick, usually one-shotting any player in the early to mid game until they've gotten a bigger HP pool. As well, be sure to utilize the jump kick, as the grounded stop is super slow, doesn't have a lot of range, and has crazy high end lag. Pro tip here, you can actually mount your opponent's chocobos if they're chasing you, and they'll have to actually get off of their own chocobo to attack you while you're still mounted on their chocobo. So yeah, that's a fun little battle tip for you today if you're getting chased by a person on a chocobo and you're afraid of getting kicked to death. They're also one of, if not the most effective way of doing PvE in this game, as each kick chunks monsters, with a capped out Chocobo doing, again, 300 damage per tick. You 3-hit bombs. You 3-hit bombs and one-shot almost like all of the small things. Hopefully this guide has been helpful to you in getting a better understanding of the Chocobo system. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below, and I can maybe try and help you create the feathered friend of your dreams. If you like this one-on-one, Please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for either the future breeding guide once I get more information on it, or just other First Soldier guides in general. I also stream First Soldier over on Twitch, link down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. May you and your feathered friends terrorize Midgar together. Later, everyone.